Welcome to Epic Tutorials. In this video, it's my absolute privilege to give you a first look at Filmic First Light, the new photo app from the makers of Filmic Pro that will be released on the 8th of November, so in just a few days time, and I'm going to walk you through my top 5 favorite features. It is important to be upfront and state that I do work for Filmic, so whilst I don't think the high regard in which I hold this app is biased by that fact, please keep it in mind. My absolute favorite feature in First Light is the Film Looks vignette and film grain. If you tap the Looks button in First Light, it reveals 3 imaging options: filters, vignette, and grain. As part of the free version of the app, you get access to the sample filters pack, which will get refreshed regularly. And as you can see, the film looks included are really beautiful, and as you swipe through them, you instantly see them applied so you know exactly what your final shot will look like. With the premium subscription, you get access to additional categories that you can swipe through, as well as new categories that will be released in the future. There's a chrome pack, a black and white pack which is just really beautiful, and the instant pack for some serious retro vibe. Now, First Light's looks are not just disposable generic filters, but instead lovingly crafted and inspired by a range of classic film stocks. My personal favorites are Leopold, which is inspired by Kodachrome 25 and 64 from Kodak. I just absolutely love the colors and contrast profile. Bingham, which is inspired by the daguerreotype process, and Electrum, which is based on panchromatic film. These are 2 of my favorite black and white film looks. Red Scale is a really striking Kodak aerochrome simulation that replaces the green in your image, and I just love this effect for landscapes. And Seventh, which is a really beautiful interpretation of Polaroid 669 film for a retro look. In addition to the filters, we also have Vignette. A vignette lets you guide the viewer's eyes to the center of your frame, and typically I like to set this to low, however you can choose your strength. You get medium as part of the free app, and low and heavy are part of the premium version of First Light. And lastly, in our looks tray we come to the coolest feature in my opinion, which is film grain. This allows you to apply a fine, moderate or coarse film grain to your image, with moderate being part of the free app. And unlike most other grain solutions, this isn't just a static grain overlay. It's a dynamic living film grain just like the real thing. It's non-uniform and structural, with the granular contrast and saturation varying by negative density. And what this means is you won't ever get the same grain profile twice. So wrapping up our first feature, the ability to get authentic film looks in camera without the need for time-consuming workflows is something I absolutely love. After the film look imaging tools, the next thing I absolutely adore about First Light is the cross-swipe gesture built into the core user experience of the app. By default, you can swipe up and down to manually adjust your exposure, and left and right to adjust your focus. The beauty of this is you don't even have to lift your finger to dial in your shot, and with zebras for exposure and peaking for focus responsively applied, you can ensure that you avoid clipped highlights and out-of-focus shots. I also love the fact that with the premium version of the app, you can invert the swipe direction under the Advanced Settings menu, so I find it more intuitive to control focus on the vertical axis. Just like a DSLR or mirrorless camera, First Light has shutter and ISO priority modes available as part of the premium version. The mode selector is in the lower left, and whilst I rarely use the ISO priority mode, I really love the shutter priority mode. Once selected, you can swipe horizontally to set your shutter speed value, and then First Light will automatically set your ISO for proper exposure using its custom exposure system. If you want to freeze time, select a high shutter speed value. If you want smooth motion blur or light trails, select a very slow shutter speed in low light, or make sure you have a variable ND in bright conditions. The creative possibilities are endless, and it's fantastic to have the same controls found on dedicated high-end cameras available on mobile. Another First Light feature I'm a huge fan of is the custom function button, which is included in the premium subscription. If you tap and hold on the button in the upper left, you can assign any of the main features directly to the main UI for quick access, bypassing the need to dive into the settings menu. Typically, I like to map this to the capture format so I can quickly switch between JPEG, DNG, RAW, etc. just by tapping the function button from the main UI. But another common function mapping I'll make is for the anamorphic desqueeze, which brings me to my 5th favorite feature. I've been a long time fan of the Moondog anamorphic lens and use this a ton for video shooting in Filmic Pro. And prior to First Light, I'd never have thought I'd enjoy shooting anamorphic stills just as much. First Light will apply a 1.33 times desqueeze for you in both the preview and the final captured image if you have the premium version, again negating the need to do this in post. For landscapes especially, I really love the results when combined with First Light's film looks and grain. Being able to map it to the custom function button is also great as you don't have to dive into the settings as you switch between lenses. Well, those were just 5 of my favorite features, and I've really just skimmed the surface of what First Light offers. Please check out the full Jumpstart tutorial on the Filmic Pro channel, and you can find the link to download it on iOS in the description below. And make sure you follow Filmic Pro on Twitter if you want to learn more about the Android beta. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. And as always, thanks a lot for watching.